everybody, welcome back. Mr. Barker here, as expected, to do our next lesson of Amplify. We're on a new unit, but it's not a new subunit, but it's a very, very short one. It's only got one lesson, so I'm throwing it in with Raisin in the Sun, and you'll understand why in a moment. What our lesson is back to here. Unit 7B, subunit 2, lesson 1. Dreams Deferred. This is a poem that was written by Langston Hughes. It is not called Dreams Deferred, it is called Harlem. The reason it's called Harlem, back in the era that this was written, Harlem was a not wealthy area of urban working blacks, by and large. Just de facto segregation, they tend to live there, and it was not a really happy, positive place, a lot like South Side of Chicago, okay? You will find this is typical in a lot of American history. You're going to find there are a lot of cities that contained very heavily poor/black populations. Why? There weren't as many opportunities. It's a sad fact. It probably will be debated by some people down the road, but in my personal experience, I have seen this to be true. So that is what this is about. So let's talk about the play, or not the play, the poem. It's called Harlem. It is the words that are spoken at the beginning of our original movie that we showed, so I will read it to you. Here it is. What happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun, or fester like a sore and then run? Does it stink like rotten meat, or crust and sugar over like a syrupy sweet? Maybe it just sags like a heavy load, or does it explode? Obviously it's got a great rhyming scheme. The big thing about this poem is the similes. Similes are when you're comparing something to something else. The similes here is the dream deferred. What is a dream deferred? Look, I want to be an astronaut. And you keep putting it off, you put it off, you put it off, until eventually you're 83 years old, you're not going to become an astronaut. That's it. That's a dream deferred. If you have something that you want to do and you put it on hold because there's something else or you're unwilling to do the work, that's a dream deferred. Langston Hughes was talking about it here because in his estimation, people were not chasing down their dreams specifically within his culture. Within his group of people, he felt that people were not pursuing hard enough the things that they wanted. And so what happens to those dreams? Okay? So, do they just dry up like a raisin in the sun? Does it just go into this tiny little nugget that isn't what it once was, right? Or does it fester like a sore? This is, I know, a gross simile, but think about it. If you get a cut and you don't treat it, and it gets all nasty and gross and kind of rots you from the inside out, does a dream do that? If you don't chase down your dreams, does it do that? Does it break you inside? Maybe. I can certainly make that argument. Does it stink like rotten meat? Is it there just haunting you? Maybe. Does it crust and sugar over? This is an interesting turn here. Maybe it just sits in the back of your mind and you cover it up with happy, wonderful thoughts. Maybe. Like a syrupy sweet. The end is the one that I think it is the most. Maybe it just sags like a heavy load. Maybe it's just there on your back and you're walking around with it forever because you didn't chase it down, you didn't make it happen. Look, I'm an old guy, you guys know that. I've been around for a long time. I've only been a teacher, this is my second year. This was my dream. I know. I wanted to be the lowest paid guy in North America and teach you circus animals. But I did, I really did. Why? I want to make a difference. I deferred this dream for a very, very long time. I did a number of other occupations for a very long time. And they brought me some financial success. This dream, now that I'm fulfilling it, it's exactly what I wanted. It's exactly what I wanted. And I feel better, I feel lighter, I feel younger not having it sitting out there, that this thing that I kept putting off, I'm thrilled that I did it. I love it. That, in my opinion, is the cost of a dream deferred. I think it does weigh on you. I think that you do go through life thinking, what if I did something else? What if I did this? What if I'd done that? That's the one that speaks the most to me. Where am I going with all this? Because you have to understand how these similes compare back to what we just talked about. Okay, the play we just read, different characters might view this in some of these ways. Which ways? That's what you're supposed to be asking yourself. So go ahead, if you are not really comfortable and familiar with similes, I really recommend you do this chart and understand, okay? Because they're comparing the dream to these two things over and over and over. Is the dream this thing that's morphed into this? Make sure you're comfortable with what the similes are, because you're going to need over here on the writing assignment to be familiar with the similes. How, you ask? Okay, you pick a simile from here, one of these comparative statements, and there's your choices right here, and then you compare it to one of the characters from Raisin in the Sun, either Benitha, Mama, Ruth, and Walter. Pick one of those four people, and then explain to me how that simile works with that person. How does that comparison of a dream deferred connect to that character in the story? If you chose Walter and you chose a festering sore, that's an easy one to draw, because Walter is angry and ate up and broken and damaged and hurt, right? All of these things that you would certainly associate with a festering sore. That would be an easy one to draw, but maybe you don't want to use these ones. Maybe you want to take one of the deeper ones. Maybe you want to take Ruth's approach. I would say that Ruth is probably going to look at it more of a sugary sweet. She covers all of this dream deferred with hopes and optimism and smiles and all of that. I think that's what she does. Your job is to write, I believe, 120 words about that. Connect one of the people in the play back to that dream deferred. Tell me what they think a dream deferred is, which simile connects best with them. That's it. That's what you have to do. And that concludes our work with Raisin in the Sun. Thank you guys so much. I enjoyed this lesson. I hope you did too. It's a great poem. See you for the next one.